10 teams comprised of 50 cars have battled on the track in one of the most difficult seasons on record. Only these cars made it to the Junkyard Joust World Championship, and now it is all on the line with everything to play for. Hi everybody, I'm Aaron Yonda. Welcome to the biggest competition of the season. Here are the 10 teams that are going to be facing off in this battle. I will be here doing the commentating and giving you the inside angle on all the ins and outs of the Junkyard Joust. Let's take a look at the teams. First up, it is two-time champions, the Copperheads, the only team to ever do that. They got second place last year, they're ranked number 2. Number 4 ranked Amaranthine. They've been around since the beginning and their team is looking promising this year. Can they finally make the top 3? The 5th ranked Alabaster Aces have some interesting variety on their team, some big hitters and some survivors. Speaking of surviving, Yellow Hammer has some serious agility, ranked 12th. They've never been to the finals, and neither has Ketchup and Mustard, 14th ranked. They've got an undercutter and some good survival. This team didn't exist before this season. The Midnight Titans, ranked 16th. They've impressed everybody. 19th ranked Pink Push have some good survival and a huge big rig. Also with a huge big rig, it's Prism Break. Their big rig has carried them to the finals. Will the other cars step up to the plate? Ranked 27th, I don't think anybody thought the Blue Line Specials would make it here, but they did, and they are looking very good. And finally, 29th ranked Vermilion Venom, a dynamic team that proved themselves in the main event. 2 teams still have their bonus action for first place finishes in the qualifiers, Amaranthine and Yellow Hammer. This might give them some help. 6 of the vehicles competing have not been eliminated at all this entire season. And that is all you need to know. We are ready to joust, everybody. It looks like the Junkyard Joust fans who hang out over here have tried to protect themselves. The canoe wasn't cutting it, so they have a Viking longship. We'll see if that works. Round 1, here we go. It's the finals. 56 Chevy Nomad for Amaranthine, sponsored by Reaper EOD, slams into the line, gets itself in position to take a hit from the VW T1 panel bus for the Venom, sponsored by Farty Marty. A nice hit there, but it goes curbside at the last second. Staying locked in the track is key to survival in Junkyard Joust. Next down will be Rogue Hog for Prison Break, sponsored by Mark the Music Book. Rogue Hog with a nice slam stays locked in. The VW stays on the track, but it looks vulnerable. Another VW, it's the T1 Combi for Yellow Hammer, sponsored by Reaper EOD. A gentle slide into place by the Combi, and the other VW just about gets away scot-free. Still in a bit of a pickle right there. Here comes the Copperheads. Tucker Torpedo, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Tucker Torpedo lines up. Rogue Hog is going up. It could go over. It looks like the VW T1 has escaped. First up for the Blue Line Specials, the 66 Chevy Corvair Yenko Stinger, sponsored by the Mad Brick King. Nice hit there, and look at that. Rogue Hog goes up. It looks like it's going over, and then it flips back after a nice rebound off the T1. No eliminations yet in this round. Next down will be the Greased Gremlin for Ketchup and Mustard, sponsored by Reaper EOD. Greased Gremlin slams the Stinger off the track. Uses the back of Tucker Torpedo to pry it off the track, but look at that great rollover to a recovery for the Stinger. Blue Line looking good. And the Joust fans look pretty safe in that longship. 65 Pontiac Catalina, sponsored by Reaper EOD for the Titans. Speaking of Reaper EOD, William and Chief over in Discord assembled a list of the patrons who had the most sponsored cars in the finals. Reaper tops the list with 6. That is very lucky. Sicken is close behind at 4. Next down, it's the Greyhound bus for Alabaster Aces, sponsored by King Jester. That bus always has a powerful slam, and it wrestles 2 cars off the ground, the Gremlin and the Catalina, and then it goes curbside. No eliminations yet, though. First down for the Pink Push, 99 Nissan Skyline GTR, sponsored by Scrapyards Used Body Parts and Services. It slams in, tightens everything up a little bit. Looks like the bus might be fine in that position. Still a lot more hits to come down the track though. Talbot Lago, sponsored by Avery's Reliable Autos. Talbot locks in and has a sloped back. It could do some ramping here. Buick Riviera, sponsored by Reaper EOD. The Buick manages to lock it in, does not worry about that ramp at all. Flathead Fury, sponsored by Swamp Hobby. New season of Joust just around the corner. Become a sponsor now and get your own sponsored cars. Link in the description. And it's time for the Undercutter Turbo Streaks, sponsored by Scrapyard. Turbo Streak only cuts under Flathead Fury, and Flathead Fury survives it. A nice pivoting dismount to a steady landing, and now Turbo Streak is underneath the Buick. Big hit coming down the 58 Impala, 135 grams, sponsored by Sicken. And big it was, but still no eliminations. The Buick gets flipped over and makes that recovery happen. Hits a height of 6 and still lands, flipping over. Turbo Streak has been displaced from the track after getting another undercut on the Talbot. Looks like the Talbot and the Skyline are kind of stuck together. Yet another big hit, the 88 Chevy Silverado 3500, sponsored by K&E Stewart Agri-Services. Boom, there it is. We finally get our first elimination, and it is a double takedown. 2 cars, sideways and out. Amaranth and Pink Push, the first to lose vehicles. Devastating hit from the Silverado. Shelby Cobra, sponsored by G-Zeus. The Shelby powers into the Silverado. The bus gets pushed off the track, stays level. So does the Silverado, forward blue line. And the hood on that vehicle is up. Nissan Fairlady Z, sponsored by K&E Stewart. Fairlady with a zooming undercut. And look at that great recovery by the Shelby. Usually Cookie or PD ride down in that vehicle. They must have forgotten to hop on. Maybe they're distracted by the excitement. 83 Chevy Silverado for the Aces, sponsored by William Aronson of the Joust Network. Slams into position right behind the Fairlady, and now we're backing down the track. It's the Caddy Pink Cadillac, sponsored by Lang's the Cat Lover for the Pink Push. Caddy lines up as well. Classic vehicle, it's been around since season 1. The Auburn 852, sponsored by Coffee Run. Auburn slams into the line and sticks it to the Caddy. And we're back up to the top of the hill for the Camper, sponsored by Tim the Bear Neal. The Camper launches off of the Auburn, flips around, goes over. Generally, this thing is great at recovering on a hit like that, but it gets stuck against the crates. The crates can be the doom for many a vehicle. Electrac, sponsored by K&E Stewart. The Electrac launches and handles it much better, flipping over, landing on top of Turbo Streak. Great recovery. Prison Break liking that. Next up, Yellow Hammer's Cryo Pump, sponsored by Frank's Fork Factory. Cryo Pump not low enough to get under the Auburn, slides up on the trunk, and is poised to be launched. The launching will be done by Flame Out, sponsored by Sicken. Flame Out slams it, but it handles it no problem. Cryo Pump flying up against the Viking longboat and rattling the 2 Junkyard Joust fans in that canoe. They take a tumble out of the canoe, not as safe as they thought.
Ow, that hurt.
Ford Shelby GT 350R, sponsored by Stump's Tree Farm. The Shelby knocks Flame out of position, throws it off the track. Right now, Flame Out looks iffy, close to 45 degrees. If you're over 45, you're out at the end of the round. Spider Machine, sponsored by Lang's the Cat Lover. Spider Machine with a nice undercut. The Shelby goes up, it flips around. Great recovery, and it also helped Flame Out recover, it looks like. Here comes the 05 Chevy SSR, sponsored by Moo Cow Horse Farm. The Chevy blasts into Spider Machine, and Spider Machine continues to progress down the track. Cannot take out the Auburn, it remains level. Good recovery, but now the Pink Caddy is poised for trouble. Ooh, I think that Shelby's out now too. West Coast Flyer, sponsored by Sicken. West Coast Flyer pounds into the line, and now Spider Machine has been stuffed. It can't get underneath that Silverado, looks like. Maybe this will help. Sweet Delivery, 214 grams. Not the biggest vehicle right now. Sponsored by William Aronson. Boom! The line is devastated. Absolutely devastated. Almost all the cars on the line were displaced by that hit. I don't think we've ever really seen something like that. Just about every car was locked in, and now none of them except the very front car for Amaranthan are locked in. And there's a big hit coming down. It's the 53 Ford Crestline Victoria, 140 grams, sponsored by Tribble's Troublemakers. The Crestline forces the line forward. There goes West Coast Flyer over and just about tips over, but manages to rein it in at the last second and make the recovery. I don't think there were any eliminations on that hit. The VW Caddy, sponsored by Chorgoth the Infinite Horror for the Venom. Caddy with the smack, but finds the line pretty firm, and nothing big happening that time. Here comes something big. X-Train, 197 grams, biggest vehicle in the match, sponsored by Lang's the Cat Lover. X-Train with a huge hit. Look at this. X-Train goes over. The impact was too much. The line was too solid. X-Train escaped the track, but tips over and is eliminated in round 1. Prison Break is devastated. The rest of the team is gonna have to step up. That was a double takedown, by the way. The pink caddy tipped over on that, as well as the SSR for Midnight. Power Pipe, sponsored by International Gaming Productions. You can scratch one off the never eliminated list with the elimination of X-Train. Power Pipe's also never eliminated. Copperhead's up now. McLaren F1, sponsored by Sicken. The McLaren loses control and goes sideways, just about off the track. Very vulnerable in this position. Farther down the track, the SSR is trying to make a recovery. The vehicle that got the specials to the finals, the 20 Chevy Corvette, sponsored by the Test Joust series. The Corvette with an incredible undercut. 3 vehicles affected by that, but only 1 eliminated. The caddy goes over. Vermilion are gonna lose it. Power Pipes hangs on, as well as the McLaren. Draftnator, sponsored by the Test Joust series. Draftnator slots in for ketchup and mustard. Next down will be Grand Illusion, sponsored by Tribble's Troublemakers. Little movement up front before the car gets down to the bottom, and it tries to take out Draftnator. Does not happen. Here comes the USPS truck, sponsored by Shadow Wolf. Nice slam there, pushes the line forward a bunch. Looks like the SSR has gone over completely now and will definitely be out. Looks like the Fair Lady slid over up front too. That could have been a bad hit for Midnight. Being pushed up now, Birthday Burner, sponsored by Swamp Hobbit. Birthday Burner finds a wall in front of it, cannot move anything. And now it's gonna take a hit from Gas Hog from Amaranthin, sponsored by Sanddragon Workshop. Gas Hog gets underneath Birthday Burner, throws it up and over into a little hole where it has absolutely no chance to recover. It is just stuck there, next to the eliminated X-Train. Exilium, sponsored by Shadow Wolf. Exilium smashes Gas Hog, goes just a bit up on the trunk. Looks like it's poised to go off on the next hit, probably. Track Tune for Prison Break, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. Somehow Track Tune actually helps Exilium lock in a little bit better. We are backing up the hill. The Renault Espis minivan, I fondly refer to it as the E-Space, sponsored by Tribble's Troublemakers. Locks in nicely, does the E-Space. And now a hit from Purple Passion Woody, sponsored by Tim the Bear Neal. The Woody pushes the line just a little bit forward, and 2 cars going curbside. Exilium is definitely in trouble here. Mazda Cosmo, sponsored by Tim the Bear Neal. The Mazda slams it forward, and there goes Track Tune into a tough position. Although it does not look beyond 45, I think it's okay for the moment. The Dodge Rampage, sponsored by Hendrika's Heavy Hauling. The Rampage with a takedown on the Cosmo. We are going back up the track now, and the fall from this height is more dangerous for cars. Cosmo's out. Loss for Blue Line. Formula One, this car did great for the Titans, sponsored by Emo Dingo. Formula One with a push, and down goes the Woody for Copperheads. That car has not been performing well, and it continues to fail them. It's toast. The infamous Shadowjet for the Aces, sponsored by Reaper Yodi. Shadowjet with an undercut, attempting a takedown, but the Formula One is wise to it. Rampage is going up, not over yet. Next hit will be from the 97 Crown Victoria, sponsored by Farty Marty. Crown Victoria with a smash. Shadowjet goes forward, gets under the Rampage, flips it over, and takes out the Espis. Flips the minivan over as well. A huge loss for Yellowhammer. That thing has never been eliminated yet. Formula One is in a bit of trouble here as well. That is going to do it for round 1. We have 12 eliminations. We got a bunch of measurements to see which cars are beyond 45. The Formula One scrapes by with a 39-degree measurement. That's in. The Cosmo is 53 degrees and out for Blue Line. That thing's damaged. And Blue Line is going to lose the Mustang as well at 52 degrees. That'll take us up to 14 eliminations. Let's take a look at the aftermath. All the teams on this page fall to 4. Alabaster Ace is the only one to emerge from this round unscathed. Pink Push, the biggest hit in round 1. They lost 3. They are down to 2. Pink Push, Blue Line, and Vermilion all down from 5 to 3. And it looks like the rest of the Prison Break team stepped it up in that round and only lost 1. X-Train, whose perfect record falls, and so does the Espis. The Joust fans are ready for round 2. They're hiding behind their canoe now. We'll see if that pays off. Here we go. The Alabaster Aces coming out of that round with no elimination, starting off with the Silverado as their lead. It stops and parks halfway down the track. Rogue Hog pushes the Silverado up towards the front, but now it's kind of stuck a ways back. And it pays the price immediately. The Combi floats it over, lands in the flat bed of the Silverado, and then slides backwards upside down. Cars doing a little lining up now. Let's take a look at the elimination leaderboard. This is the elimination board for the entire season. Rat Rig and Car Transporter did not make it to the finals, so their totals stop there. 54 Ford Crestline might be the only vehicle that has a chance to top them. We shall see by the end of the finals. Grand Illusion cannot get the undercut on Tucker. VW smashes it, but stays locked in. And look at this, up front, our one elimination of the round is no longer an elimination. Rogue Hog makes a miracle recovery, and then the T1 is immediately annihilated by the Silverado for Blue Line Specials. Massive takedown. Silverado tries to get off the track, but doesn't manage to do it until the Crown Victoria pushes it off the track. Does not help the T1 at all. Look at this, there's the big Greyhound bus slamming into the line. Just plows its way forward. Grand Illusion taken out. Tucker survives. The T1 is back upright again. So 1 takedown and 1 save. And now we've got a close call for the Victoria, but it does manage to flip back down again and stay alive. So just 1 elimination after all that. Cryopump takes a shot at Track Tune and succeeds. Prison Break is gonna fall to 3. That was a nice takedown. The Auburn has an argument with Cryopump, and Cryopump loses. PD, meanwhile, goes flipping and flying out of the driver's seat, lands way over in the corner, I think. Already settled in for that little baby nap, gotta recover for the next run. That's assuming the Auburn survives right now. It is in trouble. Baby Cookie just came down. The Shelby Cobra with a nice hit, though now it is curbside. Cryopump definitely finished off. The McLaren gets underneath the Cobra, throws it up in the air, and the Cobra somehow balances, stays upright, but the Auburn does not. Unless there's some sort of miracle, it looks like PD is going to get to take a break from driving down. The Catalina slots in for the Titans, and the Auburn slides, almost gets back upright again, but it is wedged in there. I don't think there's any way out. A nice slow arrival of the Buick. Somehow it gets underneath the Catalina, and that thing's gonna go flying. It doesn't go flying. I was wrong about that. The Corvair just pushes it up a little bit, and then Sweet Delivery slams into all the cars. Catalina goes over. Midnight Titans are gonna lose another one. That's 2 in this round. Tough break for them. Nobody else eliminated on that hit. Shadowjet unable to get underneath Sweet Delivery. Electrac goes off that tricky back of Shadowjet, but makes a nice balanced recovery, resting along a little ridge in the ground. Next down is Turbo Streak for Yellow Hammer. Gets underneath Shadowjet, throws it up in the air, but Shadowjet is okay for the moment. Not in a great position, and Sweet Delivery could be in trouble here. Turbo Streak has made it underneath. Boom! The Ford Crestline with a devastating double takedown. Shadowjet spins through the air and flies. Sweet Delivery thrown off the track and over. Add 2 more to the Crestline's takedown total. Amaranthan, impressive show there. Draftinator just succeeds in finishing off Sweet Delivery and then makes a flip over to a nice recovery right next to Cookie. The Buick up front is sliding off to safety. Flameout gets hit by the Formula 1 and we are backing down the track again, just about to start going up the hill. Excellium down next, pops Flameout up and on top of the now doomed Sweet Delivery. Formula 1 is going up on the back of the Crestline. Here comes the Corvette for Blue Line, pushes the Corvette up onto the Ford off the track, and I think that's probably in. Yeah, that's definitely looking in. West Coast Flyer does not change things up, may have helped the formula a little bit. Flathead Fury with a takedown attempt on West Coast Flyer does not work. But then West Coast Flyer gets thrown off the track and makes another great recovery. That vehicle looking good for Alabaster after that hit from Power Pipes. Gas Hog down next for Amaranthin. Pushes Power Pipes underneath two cars, the Corvette and Flathead Fury. They both recover. Great survivability on that hit. Competitive cars. Spider Machine comes down next. It cannot get underneath Gas Hog, and it goes out, goes over, and is done. And it doesn't look like there is going to be much chance of recovery, though it's not out of the question. But Ketchup and Mustard did not want to lose that car, and that massive hit from the Impala takes down Excellium. That's going to be a loss for Vermilion. Gas Hog survives that walloping smash. And here comes the USPS truck to mix things up. Way down the track, Turbo Streak is getting under Grease Gremlin. The bus, the Greyhound, is going over. Doesn't look to me like it's beyond 45, but I think we're going to have to take a measurement on that. 9 eliminations in round 2. That's a pretty healthy amount. And the bus is at 44 degrees and will stay in the match for Alabaster. Let's take a look at the aftermath. Amaranthin, Yellowhammer, Ketchup, and Mustard all fall down to 3 from 4. Alabaster loses 1 and falls to 4, now tied with the Copperheads, who didn't lose 1 in round 2. Midnight Titan's hardest hit in that round. They will fall down to 1 along with Pink Push. 2 teams on the brink, but admittedly with 2 very good cars. Vermilion falls from 3 to 2. Prison Break falls from 4 to 3. And the Blue Line Specials are steady at 3. Another perfect record falls. Sweet Delivery is out. Only 3 remain. And now we head into round 3 with the Alabaster Aces yet again. 83 Chevy Silverado. Aces still have 4 left. It parks in the middle of the track and then takes a hit from the Tucker Torpedo. 4 Copperheads, our 2-time champs, who are making a go of it, trying to do it again. Speaking of finals appearances, if you were curious which teams have been in the finals the most, it is Crimson Crashers tied with Emerald Undercurrent with 6 appearances. With this appearance, the Copperheads have been in the finals 5 times, Jetstreak and the Sunrunners 4, and then there's a host of teams that have had 3 appearances. Thank you to the Mad Brit King and Duxie over on the Junkyard Joust Discord. A lot of really helpful people over in the Junkyard Joust Discord helping make the stats and the rankings and a lot of information. If you are into all the stats and information, head over to the Junkyard Joust Discord and check it out. We've had a little wrestling going on the track, but nothing major yet. Rogue Hog and the Crown Victoria are both off the track. Crown Victoria still a little bit on and takes a big hit from the Greyhound. Boom, the T1 is pushed off the track. Vermilion, it could lose the T1 here, and Blue Line could lose that Yenko. But the Crown Victoria survives that massive hit. Double takedown. Formula in danger here. It gets pushed and squeezed, but I think yet again it is staying alive after that hit from the McLaren, which then gets pushed off the track completely by the next 2 hits. Cookie goes flying into the air. Nice escape there by the Cobra for Ketchup and Mustard. Time for Cookie's nap. A quick update on the elimination leaderboard. We don't have an official tally, but the Ford Crestline Victoria did get at least 2 more eliminations, putting it within range of Car Transporter and maybe nabbing 2nd place in this match yet. The Buick knocks Flathead Fury just about free of the track. The rest of the Prison Break team doing a pretty good job so far of surviving without their big guy. The Impala, as heavy as it is, not able to make much of a dent. It does make a couple cars, though, go curbside. Does not look good for the Corvette right there. And here comes Turbo Streak. Tries to get under the Impala. It doesn't happen. Big mistake there by Turbo Streak, and it pays the price, but manages to pivot at the very last second before being smashed off the track completely and utterly by the Crestline. That was a double takedown, and that is going to put the Crestline tied with Transporter, 14 eliminations apiece. Electrek gets underneath the Blue Line Silverado and floats it up in the air. Silverado pounces back down, goes over sideways, and then attempts a recovery. Man, that is close. Looking like a recovery to me. Yep, that's definitely below 45. Close call. USPS goes curbside, and it would be in trouble, but it manages to stay locked in a curbside position. Big heavy vehicle, and it's able to kind of lock in that strange formation. Last car was flame out, for round 3. We're getting down to the brass tacks here. 4 eliminations in that round. Not too many. A lot of good competitors on the field. Let's see how this pans out. Not much changed over here except Yellow Hammer falls to 2 after that mistake by Turbo Streak. Copperheads and Alabaster still out in the lead with 4. And here's where the damage is. Vermilion Venom loses both of their remaining cars and they are out of the competition. The 29th ranked team falls. We have 9 teams left. Blue Line falls from 3 to 2. Interesting to note that 6 of these teams have never been to the finals, and some of them have been around for a long time. So make sure you tune in next Sunday for the conclusion of the finals and find out who the world champion is gonna be. I've got a new season in the works. Become a sponsor now. Get your name on the new cars that are coming up in the new season, and maybe they will make it all the way to the finals. Thank you to all my patrons. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like the video, and if you've got the capability to hype the video, I would very much appreciate that. See you next time on The Joust.